Hello and welcome to MTG-Profits. You are joining us for our 31st episode where we talk about Magic and specifically some of the financial aspects of Magic the Gathering and other Magic news as well. As always, my name is Devin and I'm joined by my co-host Andy.
Hello everybody.
And I think we're, as per usual, got to plug the website. Make sure you check out MTGprofits.com. Make sure you look at all the juicy goodness that's up there. And if YouTube is your thing, we try to put some things on YouTube as well. So check that out if YouTube is your jam. And I think we'll start off with a little bit of news items. I think Andy's got some juicy tidbits.
Absolutely. There seems to be like a lot of things going on lately, as usual. This one I saw just the end of last week, I guess it was, about a pro Magic player accused of harassing women and thusly removed from one of the Magic tournaments because of it. He was dropped from the previous weekend's first ever $1 million tournament, and there's been some, I guess, discussion about what exactly going on, but his name was Owen Turtenwald, and he was ranked among one of the world's top Magic players, and he's been that way for about a decade or so. He won a bunch of Grand Prix tournaments. He got a Player of the Year. He was a Hall of Famer. He's, I guess, a Twitch streamer. And he receives a good chunk of change from Magic income a year. But and he gets a big following on Twitter and all that kind of stuff, social media things. But
also a part of the Channel Fireball team as well.
Okay. Yep. So he was removed from the tournament, and there's a tweet from Wizards announcing that. And otherwise, it was basically all silence. But there was one other person who came forward and gave some evidence. But basically the story was that he had some predatory behavior toward other female Magic players over numerous years. So he pursued these women sexually and romantically, even after they turned him down, and he kind of harassed them. And that a lot of the women, I guess, in the community had heard about him and just, generally made these women feel uncomfortable.
It's like that general sleazeball style.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Yeah. It's kind of a shame. It's like, it's funny because they'll have these, pro players, and these guys are like, supposedly, paragons of the community, and it's funny because, like, with some frightening regularity, you'll hear, like, stories like this, and you're like, how do these guys make it so far, and, like, nobody sort of brings this stuff up, Same thing with the cheating. It's like cheating seems to run rampant, and, like, bad behavior seems to run rampant in the community, especially, like, at these upper echelons of competitive play. You're like, why do we have these loser cheaters and little scuzzballs up here? And you're like, how does this happen? Well,
I would think too, for as far as the sexual harassment part of it goes, I mean, at least probably in past years, the audience and the players have been mostly male, so that probably, wasn't any harassment there. The females who have been around, and as the number grows, they probably think, well, if he's a pro, no one's going to listen to me, or it's not worth me making a scene about it, or that just feeds into this whole maybe a victim kind of state, or, nothing's going to change because of it.
Yeah, you wonder how much of this has gone on before it came to the forefront. And you wonder how blatant and flagrant it had to be in order for them to issue a ban to one of their favorite players.
Exactly. And I think probably now, imagine Wizards and, we've seen it all over with different companies, especially all the hype from the movie industry and everything about the Me Too and all this sort of stuff where, the sexual harassment is not going to be tolerated. And any even fear of it has to be shut down immediately.
Yeah. I think, like I said, I wonder how blatant and flagrant this was. I have the suspicion it was probably pretty amazingly like obvious and
I
terrible.
imagine so. And like I said, it's probably been going on for years, and he's just no one's called him out on it. Basically.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, I guess eventually the chickens come home to roost. So.
Exactly, and especially in this, I think, day and age too. I mean, especially if you're going to be harassing people, over any sort of messaging or any other social ways. I mean, all that sort of stuff is captured. I mean, that seems even stupider nowadays. I mean, you can't get away with it. Everything is recorded. Everything's documented.
Exactly. People are just. It's just a sad thing. You're like, it's just frustrating. You want your top level players to be representative of the community, and when you see this kind of terrible behavior, you're just like, this. It just sort of drags everybody down, and it enhances the stereotypical sort of tropes of, oh, the nerd. He's not good at anything, so this is the one thing he's good at, and he likes to lord it over people.
Exactly.
It's almost like a different style of like. It's almost like a different style of lording over someone. You know what I mean? And
it is. It's like the evil nerd with the control issues.
Yeah. So it's kind of unfortunate, but maybe it'll send a message. But I actually suspect that people that act in this way, I don't think like seeing other people go down is going to change their ways. I don't know if it's an incentive enough to get them to stop unless they get the smack down. So
maybe, who knows? I mean, if it stops a couple people, all the better. It is like you said though. You think these people, they're at the top of their game. They're professionals. They have a good attitude toward other players and all this sort of stuff. And no,
not really. Jerks.
Yeah, exactly. They're just balls. He's just trying to use his magic to hit on girls.
The one thing he's good at in life. He's like,
oh
gosh, it's funny. Speaking of everything being captured and logs and everything, like a mild side note, I had Google like essentially tracks everything you do, and they have their claws deep into you. And that's what I use typically as my search engine, although not on my phone. I'm a little bit, I guess, I don't know. I hoard my privacy on my phone, and I don't use like an Android device, and even that I use like the Tor browser and all this sort of stuff because I feel the phone knows too much about me as it is. Yeah. But so what I had done the other day was I logged onto like my Google account. I have a Gmail account, and it links to everything Google, my YouTube account, my all this sort of stuff, and I erased. You can actually, if you delve deep into their little privacy settings, you can actually find voice recordings of your voice, not when you were doing anything specific. And apparently, it's even more egregious if you have an Android device. It records you almost constantly, intermittently throughout the day, whether the phone is on or not. And like it'll be in your pocket, recording your phone, recording your talking, like with coworkers and everything. You can actually go on and listen to these things.
I think I've seen some of that, some of the news on that kind of stuff. Yeah,
it's flagrant. And so I want to say a year and a half ago, I wiped that history and then revoked permission for them to do that because you have to specifically revoke permission, not allow permission. Mm-hmm. So then, 2 days ago, I took it the next step further, and I had them erase my entire search history from the beginning of time on Google servers. And at first, I was like very pleased with myself. I was like, "This is fantastic!" Like now, it's going to have to start from scratch. Everything's going to be zeroed out.
Sure.
And and you're sitting there, you're like, "Oh well, what are you searching for?" It's not like it's anything crazy, but at the same time, like I just don't like the idea of it. I tend to have a libertarian bent to most of my, I don't know, my doings. So I just don't like the idea of it. So the funny side effect was, and this I did not foresee, but I should have predicted. and like my YouTube music and all my YouTube like videos and stuff, like it lost track of everything that I like. So I use YouTube music. I have like what they call YouTube Premium.
Yeah.
And it avoids all the YouTube ads, and you can essentially have access to any YouTube video or anything that's ever been posted to YouTube in both music and video form. So it's great for the car. It's like a superior version of Spotify.
Okay.
And because it has everything, like everything is on YouTube, and whereas Spotify has some gaps. So it's basically like enhanced Spotify, and it gives you the advantage of having no YouTube ads ever or any ads across any Google product. It's like $10 a month. Sure. So it lost track of all the music that I like to listen to. It lost track of every video that I've ever watched. So now it's hitting me with recommendations for videos that I've already watched. And I'm like, oh no. And you don't think that's a problem until you realize like years of videos it thinks that I haven't seen, and it thinks that I might like based on my now current search. So it's funny how you say like everything's being tracked and logged. It's like, well, it is, but maybe be careful with what you do away with, just in case it make your life.
Yeah, that's kind of funny that it's like the opposite effect. Kind of by getting rid of it has actually caused problems of its own.
Exactly. It was like I had been benefiting from their tracking of my likes and dislikes and my searches and everything. But I still do feel like it's ultra intrusive. Like, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this. You may have. Have you ever been talking with someone about some product that you may want to buy, and then like within 3 days see an advertisement on the internet about said product without you ever searching for it specifically?
I don't know if I can say that I have specifically. I can definitely say from searching and things, I'll see ads come up based on my searches and surfing, but
I've seen it happen to like people at work where they'll be talking to me about some product or some service, and within 2 to 3 days, like it'll show up as an ad on their and they wouldn't have ever typed it. They just spoke it.
Yeah.
So sort of funny, but so I do feel it's a bit too much, but I maybe I was a little overzealous in removing my entire. Maybe I should have taken a lighter touch to them destroying all the data they had stored.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe don't make that mistake.
It's I don't know. It's a digital world now, and it's depends on what you value in that. I don't know. I feel like I don't do anything particularly nefarious or special, so and it's already all integrated into my life. So
I just feel like I don't want them like selling my likes and dislikes to people without my knowledge or permission, and that's what they do as a general rule. Like you know what I mean?
They're making money off you indirectly, maybe.
Exactly, or actually directly. Like basically, we become the product that they sell.
Yeah.
And I feel like I should be at least, allowed to have some say in that process. But
yeah. But you're getting all these free stuff from it.
I don't know. I don't know about how much that's worth it. I don't know. Yeah. But I guess that's a conversation for a different time.
Yeah, that's a different podcast right here. Your digital life.
Devin's privacy podcast.
Yeah.
I should come up with a system where I talk about that. I could go on for hours.
Oh, goodness.
Hours and hours. But I guess back to Magic. So
back to Magic.
There has been a little bit of an influx, and I shouldn't say a little bit. Apparently, it's across the board a relatively large influx of new players to the game, and the game seems to be on the rise. And the possible reason for it is the arena. They're actually starting to see a shift in demand for paper product as well as see, the problem with the digital is we don't know how many new users they have. But the
we
paper
don't really have any stats on that.
Yeah, the paper is a little bit easier to track because we can sort of get a handle on how much of the product is being sold, although they make that more challenging as well. Sure. But the most recent numbers say that about 24% increase in gross product sales across the board of sealed Magic product.
Wow, that's pretty substantial.
It's a very substantial number, and is being attributed to the growth of Arena, and it almost can even be specifically pointed to a moment in time at the Arena.
Really?
The popular YouTube, I guess, personality, the PewDiePie, had played some Arena, and he had streamed himself playing Arena.
Okay.
And it was funny because within 2 weeks of that moment, Arena logins more than tripled. So
wow.
Very substantial uptick in the amount of people investigating Arena for the first time. And so the thought is that we have new users that have not played Magic before that saw it for the first time watching him play.
Okay.
And apparently he's an advanced player. You know, he's reached mythic level status.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, so he knows what he's doing, and he's an old school player. But interesting. So apparently there's been a little bit of an uptick in sales and movement of sealed product, and a subsequent increase in price of sealed booster boxes at a much more rapid clip than we have seen in recent times. So to give you a sense for perspective, for example, like if you go onto eBay right now, and I do use eBay as a pretty good metric for used, or not for used, for older boxes.
Sure.
Because that's really the best marketplace to purchase older boxes.
Okay.
But if you go on there right now to purchase like a Conspiracy 2 box, Take the Crown, they're almost at 200 now.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, they're cracking 200. The Return to Ravnica boxes are all cracking 100. The Kaladeshes are over. They're approaching. I want to say they're in the 170s now. You can't get them cheaper. The Cons boxes at 150. So that like a lot of boxes are selling quite well, and
interesting.
And we have not seen a surge in recent box prices like those ever since the new, essentially infinite print runs since Return to Ravnica.
Yeah.
Really, that was the turn of the tide for box hoarders. The Return to Ravnica and beyond, more recent, has almost always been dead money. Comparatively, like before Return to Ravnica, you could buy a box of Scars of Mirrodin, you could buy a box of New Phyrexia, you could buy a box of essentially any product, and you knew that eventually it would go up. You know, Innistrad, you know, even like Avacyn Restored, even the bad ones, you know, and they would always creep up with relative certainty, and it was always the kind of a thing that the distributors liked, the card stores liked, even individual players liked, because you could just sit on a box and let it slowly grow. Yeah. You know, until Return to Ravnica and newer. And ever since that time, boxes have been more or less dead money. And but now we're starting to see an interest and a peak in demand that's so insatiable that it's actually driving prices up. And for example, even in the stores, the Ravnica Allegiance boxes, they're like 105 is typical. You know, it's not the $89. It's you know, it's above 100. And even the guilds of Ravnica or whatever, you know, those boxes are 100 in game stores and things of this nature. So box prices are holding and climbing faster than they have for years. So I want to say since 2012. Is that when Return to Ravnica came out? Was that 2012 time? Has it been that long?
Gosh,
it doesn't feel like that long, but
does not feel that long. It was. I'll tell you in a second. 2012, October 5th.
Yeah. So this is the first time that we've seen boxes behave in this fashion since that time.
Wow. Barring
specialty limited print run items like the Master Series. The Master Series has broken that mold because they were limited print runs.
Yeah.
So you know, Modern Masters, Eternal Masters, you know, those did creep up much quicker, but not print to demand boxes. So it's interesting, and and I'm not saying rush out and buy boxes, but if you have, it's nice to see. It's nice to see
absolutely.
The box price is creeping, and I know it's got to be great for stores just because they've been just getting destroyed.
Yeah, Wow, that is very interesting. That the what is it? The PewDiePie or whatever?
PewDiePie. Yeah, I guess the world's largest YouTuber. So, and it's funny because it was not a sponsored video. He did that on his own.
Yeah.
And all the ridiculous things that Wizards does, and it can't do anything even remotely like what he did by streaming one freaking game online.
Crazy.
Like, can you imagine the power that has to move a product? Imagine if you could get your product on his, or he plays your product online and 60 million people see it, or some ridiculous number, or even 8 million.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow,
it's powerful.
That is powerful.
But
wow. We'll have to see how that continues.
Yeah, be curious, but it's a good sign. It's good for the game when you have new blood, because a rising tide lifts all ships. It raises the cost of booster boxes. It raises the cost of card singles. I shouldn't say raises the cost. It raises the value of some of these things. And there is, it makes Wizards more money, which indirectly is good. It's I don't agree always with what they do, but I understand that they need to profit as a company.
Absolutely.
But, I don't know. I think it's a beneficial thing for everyone involved when a game is robust and healthy.
Yeah.
So.
So that's very cool.
Kind of neat. I think you might have had one other item or two. I can't remember.
Yeah, a couple other little tidbits. First of all, we talked a little bit last week about the update to Arena and the cosmetic effect of that. I'm not going to belabor that, but just to talk about. Also, as kind of related to that, there were some new codes released for Arena as well to get a little bit of those bonuses, those new features, some of the
skins and
the little skin and the parallax effects and that, without having to buy the big guild packs for 3,000 gems. Good grief.
My goodness. So rude.
So some codes that you can try, and hopefully these are all still working. You can try these out, and they'll have different effects. And you can test them yourself and see what you get. But we've got Play Ravnica, capital P, capital R. Play Allegiance, capital P, capital A. Starter Styles, all caps. Super Scry, capital S, capital S. Parallax Potion, capital P, capital P. Foil Fungus, capital F, capital F. And these are all one word. Shiny Goblin Pirate, capital S, capital G, capital P. And Sparkle Druid, capital S, capital D. So all one word. Try out these codes and enter the code part of Arena to get some free bonuses for that.
That is a substantial amount of codes.
Yeah. Those last 6 were just added literally like a week ago. So
people need to go to the website to absorb this information.
Yes. We'll post these out there. You can check it out. And also as an aside on that, too, I'll send a picture, but I was in a local Target the other day, and their Magic section and card section in general was kind of a heaping mess.
It is a hodgepodge of crazy.
It's just old stuff, some new stuff, stuff all over the place.
It is wild at those places. Yeah.
But anyway, I noticed something interesting, and I've never seen this. I don't think I've ever seen it at any of the local Targets that I go to. But they did have the Guild Pack, the Guild Pack booster pack.
Really? So you saw them in real life, in the wild.
In the wild, I saw it, and I bought one. This was a guild pack of, I guess a Simic guild pack. It was green-blue guild pack, and it says Ravnica Allegiance, Simic Theme Booster. And it's 35 cards, and these were all Simic-related cards. and it included at least one rare or mythic rare card.
Okay.
And it was the same price as a regular booster pack.
The same price? Oh, my goodness. That is... I thought they were going to be more. I thought they were going to be $5.99.
Sure it was the same price. It came out to like $4.35 or something.
Interesting.
Definitely $4 something. And I tell you, the cards that are in here obviously are all themed, and this is actually a really decent pile of cards. This is almost enough to make a halfway decent Simic deck.
That is pretty neat. I like the idea of that. I love that for casual players. I love it. So I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, all this needs is a little bit of land, and it's good to go. I mean, I can play with this almost as it is. It's really not that bad at all. It's got some guild mages in it. It's got that Shark the Crab in there.
Well, that guy you ripped me a new one with that thing.
You know, even for some of the commons and uncommons are good. It's got it had the Wilderness Reclamation. It had a persistent what is it? The persistent petitioners.
Yeah.
Even both of those are both it's an uncommon and a common, but both of those are actually worth a little bit. And the rare in this case was Zagana Utopian Speaker. I don't think she's really worth very much, but she's still a good addition to this.
Yeah.
One other interesting thing in this deck too, it did have a little I don't know what you call it, hint card or info card, tip card. On the back of that card was a Magic the Gathering Arena code, and this had the code Play Allegiance.
Okay.
So I wonder if that's where that code surfaced
came from.
But who knows?
It's possible. It seems like they do that. It seems like that code seems to have come up before. It seems like Play Guilds or something was one of them last time, or Play Ravnica was I just something like that. I remember typing Play something in before.
Yeah, the Play Allegiance and Play Ravnica I think were both from before. Yeah. So anyway, keep your eyes out. They might be in stores. You might be able to find them. They had a bunch of for the other colors. There were some Rakdos ones, and honestly, I was probably looking. What was I looking for the most? I guess green, blue, and what's the other color? I'm trying to think what was the most valuable stuff.
I know. See, that's you wonder if people just go do that specifically. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
let me find the most expensive mythic, and although knowing Wizards, they would probably put that at a lower ratio than normal boosters in the special boosters.
Probably
would rip you a new one like that. Exactly.
I was probably thinking, maybe there's a chance that I can get a Planeswalker or a that Hydroid Krasis, I think was what I was going for.
Oh my, that boy, awesome.
So anyway, but so keep an eye out for that in stores.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess the other big thing that you're talking about the popularity of the game and on the rise. I think there was a big popular viral event that happened. What was it? Friday, I guess.
Okay.
A certain trailer that was released.
Oh my goodness! Yes, I saw this and I was very impressed. I was well. We always, crap on Wizards a lot, but I will say this is by far the best video they've ever put out, if you're talking about what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and in case you were under a rock here the last week or so, there was a trailer for War of the Spark released, I believe it was on this past Friday. It was, I don't know, maybe a minute and a half or something. It was fairly short. But it was actually a very well done, exciting trailer.
It was probably the best. It was actually not that like their historic trailers have always been really just like dog crap. They would take, stills of cards and rotate them to make it look like Gideon was swinging his, fist. And they would like it would be a horrible still image, like shifting on the screen, and
they would do these parallax effects with the card. The
oh gosh, they were awful. So it looks like what they had done was actually made real, solid, CGI video and actually animated
an actual trailer.
Yeah, it was very good, very good.
So in the trailer, we see Liliana kind of facing off, marching toward Bolas, and then we see kind of, I guess, a kind of time rewinding, and then it going back forward again, I think.
Yeah, you know what? It seems like if you watched it, I actually watched it twice because I was trying to figure out, like, because it seems like it was rewinding time, but then a different alternate thing happened. It seemed like. So it was almost like, I don't know if you caught that, but it was kind of like a rewind, but then it rewound and played forward in a different fashion.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of interesting though.
It was good. We saw some of the other planeswalkers in there. We saw Gideon in there. Was there anybody else?
Bolas.
We saw Bolas, him sitting at the top there of
owning everybody.
Ziggurat, I guess.
Yeah.
It appeared that Liliana was potentially sacrificing herself at the end to fight him.
Yeah, looks like she was getting her butt kicked really bad.
Yep. Yeah.
So
definitely another strong, back to that kind of Amonkhet theme of all those kind of zombies and undead army and the whole ziggurats and Egyptian style kind of going on.
Exactly. Yep. But we'll see. It's kind of curious. I was really it made me interested for the story slightly more just because the video was so good.
Absolutely.
Like I don't normally give a rat's ass about the story ever. Like I can't remember the last time I thought, "Ooh, I'm interested in the story." It's like, "Oof, I really can't." But now you're kind of curious. You're like, I thought it was that good. I thought it was that
very
good.
well done. Yeah.
I was like, interesting.
And I'm trying to remember it was playing throughout the video was a song, and I guess it was a remixed version of another older song.
The Linkin Park.
Yes, Linkin Park.
Like it doesn't even matter or something. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, and I guess this is what Rudy was saying. I don't know how true it is. The remix version. I don't know if you saw his comments on this.
I have not.
It's pretty funny, but the remix version apparently from the video from that has a heavy snow theme in it. So he has a prediction that this was going to be the return of Snowlands. And
the snow-covered.
Yes, that somehow that's going to be coming back.
Oh, that's funny. I'd love it. I got some Snowlands I'd love to unload.
I don't know if that's remotely true. It doesn't seem like it from what we've seen so far, but who knows?
Eventually they'll run out of something and have to go back.
I'm sure it'll come back. I have no doubt about that part. But when it will, I'm not sure.
That's funny. But if you haven't checked out that video, check it out. It was by far the best thing Wizards has ever done when it comes to promotional, I would say, material ever. So
very well done.
I thought that was really nicely done. Like that, they churn out these little posters and these life-size cardboard cutouts, but I mean, I don't know. This was actually pretty decent. So
yeah, that was decent. The only other thing I have a complaint about, I guess, if I'm going to nitpick, if I'm going to really nitpick, which I shall. I thought Gideon in the video looked a little crappy. His animation wasn't quite as good to me, anyway. He looked a little bit
weak.
He looked weak. His detail just wasn't quite the same.
It didn't even look quite like him either. Like the face stretched out. It was like, well, I'll give him a pass on that just because I don't know. I feel they did a good job overall.
But
you're
right. I think the rest of the video was fine. But.
Yeah, but I think you are right though. That could have been better. But fortunately, they didn't show too much of him. I think a weak character anyway. Like story-wise, he's just super vanilla and super boring. And so, I think it's just as well they minimized him. And
it's kind of funny, though, because they did such a good job on Liliana. She's super detailed, her face and her clothes. And
her expressions.
It looks terrible.
They're going to spend a little extra time, like, juicing up the woman. It's like...
Yeah, I mean, Bolas looks much better, too. I mean, he's very detailed. Anyway.
It did seem almost like a little bit of lack of attention. Like, Gideon could have been just any regular soldier. Like,
you would have really known, that's somebody special.
Yeah, he was just could have been any other dude at any time, so. But, I don't know.
And the other thing, I don't know if you've checked this out either. So, they're doing the previews and everything a little bit different. They're releasing the preview cards at a much faster rate. And to further the storyline in a different way, they're releasing, quote, scenes of cards. And the idea was these scenes would kind of give you an idea of storyline through the cards. It wasn't quite clear, at least to me, what that exactly was going to be. I guess I was expecting maybe larger artwork showing scenes, and then the cards would somehow be cut from scenes or be part of those scenes or something. I don't know if you've actually seen it, but the
I have not.
If you click on the scene, it's just a list of cards. It's just literally the cards in a row together.
Oh my, okay.
So it's like groupings of cards that are related in the storyline. It's not a overall picture or any other larger tying together. It's just a set of cards that are related in order of the storyline.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I didn't really think that was
get too much of that.
I mean,
you're like, oh, okay, nice.
Pictures from the cards. Okay. I mean, it's not like I don't know. It wasn't like some large full-scale artwork or scene. It was just literally the card with the full card and the text of the card, and that was it. Oh, okay.
All right. I have not checked it out.
Yeah, check it out. It's out there.
I'll do so. That's funny.
But I feel, I don't know, do we want to, I guess, go to since we're already on the topic, so the previews have started for War of the Spark.
Gosh, yeah. They've been juicy, I would say. It looks like it may be a fun thing with all these planeswalkers running around. I don't know if we want to go full into this. Maybe
maybe just some first impressions of it, and then kind of in later weeks we'll dive in deep. But
may take a little bit more time than we have.
Yeah, exactly. I think overall, they said that this was going to be a Planeswalker set, and that's true. We're seeing Planeswalkers like crazy.
Out the wazoo. And all commonalities, at least uncommons, uncommons, rares, and mythics. I don't think I've seen any common ones yet, but
I don't think
they are prolific in number, and I'll be curious to see how well this goes. I anticipate this box selling like hotcakes. So we shall see. I know I already pre-ordered. I think you did as well.
Yeah, I did as well. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it is interesting. I don't know if such the heavy planeswalker, how type is going to, the impact of that is going to be, just as in a playing sort of fashion. But
you know what I thought was kind of interesting, and I thought probably kind of a good thing, when it comes to how they're balancing them, and my first impressions is that all of the I would say good planeswalkers obviously are going to be sort of the rare and the mythic style, and the lesser or weaker planeswalkers, the uncommon ones, they seem to have balanced that, because you're in your mind you're thinking, good Lord, you got these permanent cards that are harder to deal with because they can't be destroyed by creature removal.
Yep.
What they've done is they come in with a certain amount of their planeswalker tokens, and they only go negative.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I thought that was pretty good, because it limits the upside potential of these guys in a way that is probably what they needed to do. Because could you imagine if you loaded a deck full of planeswalkers, like, and just, oh my gosh, it'd be overwhelming. So at least there's a limit to how much benefit you can gather from a planeswalker. Like, they don't all have ultimates. And the weaker ones have only minus abilities. So my first impression of that situation is a good impression. I feel that's appropriate.
Exactly. I agree with that. I think that was a good way of balancing off. And I'm sure, absolutely, that this was all story-driven. As in, you know, the Planeswalkers are... I haven't read any of the storyline, really. I'm just going to take a total guess that they all somehow have been summoned back to Ravnica to fight Bolas, and their sparks are being drained out or something, and as a result, they're weaker, and that's why we have all negatives on them.
Yeah, it could be. Who knows? Well, I don't know.
I'll bet money that that's the storyline. You heard it here first, without any sort of knowledge. That's my prediction.
Andy uses his predictive powers.
They're pretty. I don't know. This stuff isn't that complicated to figure out. Their storylines are not that
intricate,
detailed, or tricky. But yeah, I think that's good that they've made them all minuses there. And correct me if I'm wrong. Like, all of these weaker planeswalkers, they have a minus ability and a natural ability as well, which is something we don't really see in the typical planeswalkers.
That is true. They seem to have a passive ability, which I guess would be good, because after you've used all your minuses up, they would still, for example, like, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to you, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, things of that nature is like... So I think that's kind of neat.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be interesting. We'll dive into that more as we see these cards unfold.
Absolutely. But, I would imagine in a week.
It's not going to be too long before I think we see them all.
Excellent.
I don't know.
Excellent. Did you want to move on to sort of our picks and or prognostications for the week?
Pick it up here. I think you had some sell items, and I have one or two sell items myself.
I do. I have essentially a basket sell, and my thought process on this is I've been paying attention to card prices with sort of paying specific attention to modern cards due to the impending Modern Horizons. Yep. And one thing that was sort of newsworthy is that in that Modern Horizons, they are not going to be reprinting the fetch lands.
Yeah.
So the lack of fetch lands printing has done something substantial to the fetch lands pricing, because essentially what Wizards has said by not printing it in that product is that these fetch lands will essentially only ever be printed in special high dollar products, thereby reducing your availability to them forevermore. And so what has happened is the fetchland prices, even the more recent ones like the Khans of Tarkir fetchlands, what are called friendly fetches, the blue-black, the red-green, the white-blue, the white-green, you know, the ones that are allied colors, or the ally fetches, I guess I should say instead of friendly fetches. The ally fetches have gone from approximately the high teens, like $18 to like $28. So all the fetch lands across the board have gone up in price, especially things like the Scalding Tarn, which has cracked 100 again.
Yeah,
that is an enemy fetch. But so the funny thing about that is I think there's a little bit of an overhype on the prices of a lot of modern staples. Modern has been on an absolute tear when it comes to card value. And I really think that we are reaching a peak on a lot of modern staples. Those fetch lands being the more obvious choice. They are needed for modern. They are used in modern. They are needed as four-ofs. However, in some cases, especially the allied fetches, there is a substantial number of these things available. And so the Khans for example, you can get a Khans of Tarkir box at current for about $150 on eBay. Right now, the boxes are years old. You could run out there and get one for, I think, $159. That box will have inside it, I want to say, a 3 fetch land minimum is typical. Well, I shouldn't say minimum. I should say a typical box opening of 3 fetchies. And sometimes as high as 5, but almost never less than 3. So you could go out today for $160, buy a box, pop 3 fetch lands, and sell them for $30 a crack. So you'd be selling them for $90, thereby that whole entire box would have only cost you $70.
Okay.
So, and that's not including any other card. Okay.
Sure.
So the thing about that is when you see these prices go from 20 to 30, you're going to see there is a limit to how high they can go, and we're really reaching that limit, I think. Especially with box prices as they are. The enemy fetches are a slightly different story because the time that they were printed was original Zendikar and the Modern Masters 2017. Okay. So those Modern Masters boxes are almost at 400 now. Ooh. So they are up there in price. So when you buy a box for 400 and there are 24 boosters in that box, each booster pack is costing you like $18. So
wow.
They are pricey little boosters. So, at that rate, it's not too obscene to have, for example, $60 fetch lands. 4 times the cost of a booster is not unwarranted. But so to give you a sense for that, it's like, well, buying a box of Modern Masters 2017 at $400, cracking it, you're only going to get, say, 2 to 3 of those suckers if you're lucky, because there's only 24 boosters. You're not nearly going to you're not going to come nearly as close to breaking even as you would opening a Khans of Tarkir box.
Yeah.
So when the arbitrage is that substantial, there is a limit to how high those cards can go, and I think we are at that, very quickly approaching that limit. So the friendly fetches or the ally fetches are a sell for me. So
okay,
I'm starting to go through my binders, and I am pulling out those ally fetches. The blue-black especially, because I want to say that one is like in the 30s. So I am dumping those bad boys. And nice. You can even notice if you look at some of the graphs of their value in the last month, in literally 1 month's time, they've gone up 30% each. So they've gone from 20 to 30, essentially, across the board, starting March 16th. So wow. It's been a rapid rise and almost immediate. And I think it's in response to the news, and I think they will come back down. So that's my sell recommendation, and it's allied fetches.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny. I was just reading a little article about that and the fetch lands, but very cool.
Yeah.
I had a couple sells here. This was just one that I've been watching for a while, and I didn't really expect much of it, but it's slowly been creeping up and creeping up and creeping up and creeping up, and it spiked up just recently. This was from Magic 2014. This is a mythic. It's Rise of the Dark Realms.
Okay.
It's 7 colorless, 2 black, mana sorcery. Put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control.
Oh, gosh, I remember that. Yeah.
I remember when this first came out, and it was like $1.
Yeah, you're right. What are we up to now?
We're up to a little over $20, $21.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. That may be the most expensive card in that box.
Probably.
Or is the Caverns in that? There may be actually a land that's a really high dollar land in there.
Caverns was that was
yeah.
But yeah, I saw it was kind of hovering around 10 for the longest time, and it finally seeing crack 20.
You were like, whoa.
Now I'm starting to consider. I have a couple. I was like, well, maybe I'll pull those out.
That might be worth it. Especially because you got to figure that's something that could be reprinted pretty easy. Yeah. It's not specific to a set. It's flavorful. It's like they could want to be like, oh, let's make a new Liliana and let's make her even more zombie heavy. Let's print that card too.
Yeah, I kind of wonder why it's been on the steady rise here.
I wonder if that's because it has casual appeal, because that sure has casual written all over it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
A lot of these cards that slowly creep up like that, those are the best kind of cards to own, because they creep up not because of some artificial spike, but they creep up because of actual demand.
Yeah.
You know, when you see a slow incline like that, you know that it's organic demand where people just want the cards and they want them to play with and to use, versus when you see these crazy spikes, sometimes it'll be some news generated thing or like the
more temporary.
More temporary. So you know you're holding an actual value store there until they reprint it and they give it the reprint hammer and destroy its value again.
Yeah.
So that's why it's sort of tough to always time these things, but it is good to pay attention, and I think that's a great case for that, where it's like, wow, this has been creeping up. It may be time to start dumping. So.
Yeah, exactly.
The nice thing about cards like that is you have a little bit more wiggle room as to when to dump. You know, you don't have to catch it just right. You've got a large window of time with which you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or at least until the reprint comes, then your time is up.
Then your time.
Then your time is over, because then it's sort of like you already missed the boat. But you know. So.
Did you have any other sells, or?
That's it for now. You know, I will say that it is funny though, because lately I've been all about the sells. So it's like, sell this, sell that. And but whereas normally I'm like, wow, I got to buy this and buy that. And it's funny how I can tell, like, very specifically that my sentiment has shifted. And as I am more bullish about the game and more excited about the game, my sell triggers are flashing, not my buy triggers. And it's just, I think, because of the current state of the value of these cards, it's like I just don't see them holding, and I feel like there is more value to be had elsewhere right now. So, you know, where normally I'm sitting there thinking, wow, this card's only 25 cents. I'd love to have 4 of these, you know, and now I'm like, well, I don't really need these cards. Let me dump them because they're over $12 or whatever. It's funny how my sentiment has shifted. So, but you know what? We got to change with the times. So it's you know, you buy when it's cheap and you sell when it's high. If you can do that, you can do well. It's just always hard. It's hard to predict.
Absolutely.
But that's why the listeners have us. They can listen to our predictions.
You guys are so lucky to have us to tell you what to do.
That's right. So, and you know, I was thinking too, I'm going to have to do like a massive reorganization, and that's going to be a little bit of a project for me. I want to show all of our past picks and what they've done, because it is long overdue. And I'm going to make that a pet project so that we can list that on the website to show, here's what we picked, here's when we picked it, here's what we said it was, and here's what it is now. And I'd like to create a list that we can use sort of moving forward, because anecdotally, looking back, we've done quite well. So
I think it's really interesting when you can get that kind of history and really see what has actually occurred.
Yep. So that's gonna be a pet project over the next, I don't want to say week, because that's extremely unlikely, but I would say over the next month I should be able to put that out.
Okay, you heard it here.
That's right.
You're on record. Wow.
That's right. So it's funny. So that's going to be something that I want to do, and so I'll get to work on that. And so that's all I've got for the week, I think.
Yeah. So two other really quick sell things. One I noticed has been creeping up here is It That Betrays. That
that one's up to $12, I think.
Yes, about $12 now.
Saw that. I think I got a bunch of those bad boys.
Yeah, and I'd have to look closely. I know it was reprinted in one of the dual decks as well. Eldrazi versus somebody.
Yep. Zendikar versus Eldrazi. Yep, you're right.
I hope that version is still as valuable, or is still.
It's my understanding that version doesn't have a different altered symbol. Is that correct, or does it have It must have a different symbol.
No, I assume it has a different symbol.
Yeah, you're probably right. It probably does.
But that's one to get rid of. And this other one this has been an expensive one for a long time, and this is really it's just been getting higher and higher, and it's another one, just a call to attention that you might want to think about. I wouldn't normally put a pick like this, because I feel it's already in the high stages, so to even call it out seems not really worth it. I feel that our picks for selling are more focused on sudden shifts or things that are you're more likely to have, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, not things that are really, well, they've been rare, and they've always been rare and sought after, so of course it's going to be worth selling it, because it's worth money. So
sell your Bazaar of Baghdad, sell your
Exactly. That seems like, well, no, duh, of course it's going to be worth money. I mean, I should sell my Black Lotus? Well, duh, why not,
Yeah.
But this is random. I've noticed this guy's been creeping forever, but the Blightsteel Colossus, if you've got that guy.
Oh, really?
He's
up there.
The big boy is still creeping large at around $82.
Whoa, my goodness, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Holy cow. I did not know he was
He is a true monster.
Wow.
I remember way back when he was under 10.
Yeah,
Probably under 5.
I may have to go digging. That would be worth selling. I'm going to have to root through. I didn't realize he was so high up there.
Oh, yeah. That boy has been... I mean, he is amazing.
He is awesome. I mean, Trample, Infect, Indestructible. 11-11.
He will kill you in one shot if he hits you.
Yeah, and he's going to trample your face, too. So even, it may take 2 hits, but he'll get you.
Yep, exactly. He's bigger than his little brother, the what's the other Colossus?
The Dark
Steel Colossus. Yeah. It was also I remember when he was out.
Back in the day, that card was awesome. That card was awesome.
He's still not bad. He's still not bad.
I just remember that card just being the straight nuts.
Oh yeah, it was. You would do.
It was the OG.
Oh yeah, you would do the Tinker. And you would sacrifice some shitty artifact and then bring the Blightsteel out.
Yep. Drops that all over somebody's face. Oh, no. And that was back in the... You know what it is? That was also back in the day when indestructible meant indestructible. It was really hard to get rid of
There was not an easy way to deal with that.
No, they were really tough to deal with indestructible creatures back in the day. There was none of this exile stuff. I mean, it was like... It happened, but it was rare. It was not a common thing. You didn't have these... Path to Exiles and all these newfangled, enchantments that exile things. And it just there was no what is it? Ponder, not preordained. What the heck is that? Circle thing. Oh my goodness.
Thing.
The white circle that basically exiles any permanent. Oh gosh. The white one. Oh goodness! It's like a pacifism, but it's like Circle of Oblivion, the Oblivion Circle of Oblivion or something. I can't think of it. But anyway, there was none of that.
Right. A path to Oblivion.
It was something of Oblivion, I think.
Yeah. You're right about that part. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway,
so the O-ring, the
O-ring, the Oblivion ring. Thank you. Yeah. There was none of that stuff back in the day. So you dropped the Darksteel Colossus on somebody, they were on a pretty harsh clock. So
I mean, you could drop him as early as turn 3.
It was that's exactly right.
If you used the Tinker.
So that was just the stuff. So. I guess this is the Big Brother version.
The Big Brother of
Might. So awesome. Excellent.
So keep posted. So sell your allied fetch lands. Also sell Rise of the Dark Realms if you have it. It that betrays. It's time to betray him.
Yeah,
and
I agree on that.
The Blightsteel Colossus. If you want a big shot of money, get rid of him.
Nice.
He's definitely worth it. We'll have more discussion on War of the Spark coming up. And as always, check out the website, check out the YouTubes, and check out some of the arena games. We'll get more of those out there, too.
Very good.
So, until next time, may your picks always be profitable. We'll catch you later.
Bye-bye.